And we have quite a few of those trainees from that program along with the D43 because 5 of those PIs this time, you know about that, also have the U54 as well as the D43. So there's the money that is coming for the research training from the U54 grant. That's almost like an R01 type program. And then they have the D43, so the trainees are getting the stipends and projects from this. And so when you mix them together, they are able to then get mentored. I think your program, you've mentored students very well. I mean, from Uganda, I know I've seen a lot. Kenya too does that, and definitely the Cancer Consortium, which I work with. We are able to fund quite a few. It's not that we want to fund them. They're getting good scores. That's because the mentoring is done very well, and so they get it. So that's something you should think about, Charles, to try to write, since you've already written R21s and things like that. But that's the career development thing that will be the next one. So what I tried to do was to get some supplement money to bridge the ones that just complete their PhDs and need that time to write the K award or something like that. But so far I haven't succeeded because there's not enough money that I can use, because I sometimes struggle to even fund the D43s that score well. I have to go and beg money from elsewhere. So we'll try to continue to do that. I'm trying to bring that back because I think the other issue is also you all getting jobs. With the career development program, you have to have some kind of a job at an institute before you can do that. And this is done, it's called the K43 program. It is meant only for the non-US citizens. So it's a very good program that was recently started because Fogarty realized that you all didn't have, after you finish with the D43 fellowship program, where do you go next? That wasn't there. And so we opened up that path by giving you this. So you should all be thinking about that as you're learning to write your manuscript preparation or career development. So is there any other question?
If there are no other questions, probably we are going to ask Geetha to say something about these different funding opportunities now.
So,
or before I go to this.
I can't get my thing to, the network isn't working and I can't get my slides that I had. But let me just try to remember off the top of my head. So the one thing that I think will apply is, again, the Stigma R21 program that's already out there. It's currently, I don't know what it is. So how many of you are in a position to write R21s? I thought 2 of you said that you were already doing that. You did. Who else? So, yeah, that's right. You were in the beginning. So the R21 program is, again, it's a junior investigator type R grant. It's a research grant. So we have one at least that is out there. This is the 3rd year we are running it. There will be 1 more year. And the whole idea was to try to work on, what I wanted to do was to build up this network of young people here or new people working on HIV-associated stigma. If we really want to kind of curb the transmission, we have to start working with the young generation and with the younger and the adolescent population and the young population to then work towards curbing the transmission. And to do that, stigma is definitely a big thing. I think in one of the talks I wanted to ask the question about stigma, maybe it was the TB one. But so stigma is something that we are trying to build a network here, and through the R21, if there are younger people, younger scientists who want to start their careers, start through that, but then work with the senior investigators to do a training program in just stigma and implementation. Sciences will obviously take that into account. So that was one that is still out there, and I think the number is PAR 19-326. That's something you can take a look at. There's one this November, and there will be one other one next November. Two cycles we can have that. So that's something to think about. If I had the slide, it would be nice. The K43 program is FOAs out there. One is for clinical trials only, and one is clinical trials not allowed. So there are two choices for the K43 program. And again, for the K43 program, it's the best thing to step from after you finish your PhD, and then you need to get some amount of training, but you also have to get a job at an institution. It doesn't have to be a research job per se, but if you're on a research track or you're thinking about becoming a researcher, you can just have, like, for example, it all depends again on the person that employs you, but if you're a program manager, let's say on somebody's grant, but you're also somewhat involved with the research, that's a place where you can try to write that. But the problem there is that you have to have 75% of your time free just to do the research, and if somebody's employing you, maybe that won't be possible. So you have to think of a different way to be involved with those kinds of programs, but that totally helps you make your own career. The other one is through the R21 programs. You can still continue to do research or supervise research, and that's one place where you can mentor a student. So who was saying something about needing money or needing some opportunity to mentor junior investigators. So if you get your own R21, you can employ a student and mentor them. So I told you about the stigma opportunity. I told you the K43 programs are things that you can do pretty much in anything. It doesn't have to be HIV. It's your research, whatever research interests you, and you have a mentor. You have to have a mentor here as well as a mentor in the US. So it's a collaboration. So that doesn't restrict you only to HIV, but I started seeing, because I promote the HIV program a lot, we've started seeing many more HIV career development grants that are coming in. The other one that's going to come out, a couple of you mentioned working on NCDs, HIV-associated NCDs. There should be one coming out this November for a December application, and then there should be another one coming out next year. Hopefully we'll do that 2 years. And that's again an R21 program meant to jumpstart research here, build the research network amongst people here. So with the stigma program, I was able to get about 13 different countries within Africa for that R21 program. And when we have our network meetings, and some of the senior PIs have attended these network meetings in Bethesda, you see how they all come together, and then more collaborations get built up, and then more grants will obviously get written, and so you build a network of people who will do that in important areas. These are all important areas, so that was the whole hope. So I'm trying to do that with HIV-associated NCDs. There is an NCD grant mechanism already out there. It's an R21 again, but it has trauma, injury, and non-communicable diseases all together. It's 19-059. That's why I asked the question, is it 050 or 059? There's that one, and that is meant only for LMI CPIs. So earlier it was open to everybody, and they were getting things somewhat 100, 150 applications, but we can't obviously fund so many. The return rate was very poor, so they made it only for LMI CPIs, and we ended up getting only 9, which is really disappointing. And I'll tell you why it's disappointing. And this is something that maybe the senior ones amongst you should work on it. That we think that the D43s are training people to write grants, to become independent and so on, and we are hoping that there will be more people coming up. But when you see the number drop down to so much when it is solely from the LMI CPI, what are we doing wrong? We'd like to know what we are doing wrong. So is it that there wasn't enough time, which is what we think? Maybe this is the Hindu philosophy, just make an excuse for everything that is important. But we think maybe there wasn't enough time. People are so used to the US PIs applying with you that building that network for us is becoming a little bit of a difficult. And what we really want to see is the younger people from the LMICs becoming the leaders to do that. And that's why we rely on the senior D43 PIs to try to do that. So maybe there wasn't enough time to think this through, or it didn't sink through. So maybe this November we might see more, and we'd like to see more. And those R21s are not only for the junior investigators. It's a new area, so senior people can apply. maybe the senior people can apply along with the junior person and make it multiple PI, so it's actually the junior ones who are writing it, but they're not able to submit on their own for fear of, how the study sections will see it, but the senior ones can help add that name. So I always say that if it's a multiple PI, they don't lose their new investigator status too. So that's another way to build the network here amongst people. So at the level of PhD, sometimes, if you've all, the senior ones amongst, if you've served on study sections, you know that study sections will look at it and say, how come a PhD student is applying, do they have experience and so on. So having that mentorship from a senior one always is helpful. So stigma, NCDs, there's also, I don't know, who's talked about, did you or one of your students talk about applying to the D43 NCD?
It was Jess.
Who did you write that with? Is that you, the PI on it?
So the PI is Bruce Chirica, Moses Kami, and William Chet.
Is that the NCD D43?
Yeah, it is NCD
Plain
43 on hypertension and HIV.
Right, that's the one that comes up in November, right?
That is the one that comes out.
No, that one is the one that has been funded. The one that we are just putting in is a D71.
Yeah, I know about that one.
That one is Barbara Castel-Volvo and Bruce Chirica.
Right. But I'm talking about there's an NCD D43. That's a training grant just for NCD, Global Non-Communicable Diseases Research Training Program. Is that one you're talking about? It's been awarded when, last year? This year? This year. Who was the PI on that?
Moses Kami.
It was multiple PI.
It was multiple PI.
Yeah, so you did write that. So the thing over there, again, we are trying to sort it out within our own. I saw a lot of HIV on that, when you presented that slide. And that one is supposedly not doing HIV. So we have to sort out, so here's where that issue comes up, and again, it's not for them, but when we have that conflict going on between two programs doing very similar things, we don't know where the money goes. That's one of the reasons we end up, I go through my HIV list and I have to cut off here because the money has been taken away from this program to go into another program. So we are trying to sort it out amongst ourselves, but you are already applied for that work.
Yeah, in fact, you may have to comment on one D43, and I think I'll bring it up sometimes in our network meetings. You find this very, very good trainee. They do a master's with something, then they do some mixed methods with another FIC. Then they come to a PhD and, you get like bits and pieces of different funding, of different D43s. And I don't know, I remember you made a comment sometime during the network meeting about how, on your side, how you can tell that so and so, has been funded by many different things. You know what I'm talking about? And I think many people in this room, I think you've had implementation science part, different funding, streams. You get some money from here, and I don't know. Really trying to get somebody to learn research, somehow it takes a very long time. So when somebody is enrolled in a program, sometimes you take them this far, and then another program might pick them up. Or sometimes they may, as part of their individual development plan, they may have something that one program cannot fund, and then it gets funded by another program. So I think you may want to comment on those types of issues where there seems to be co-support from.
Do you want us to do it now with them
or with
with the PIs, because it may be more relevant there?
I think it is more relevant there with the PIs.
Yeah.
I think it's more relevant.
They may get confused. They don't know the whole story.
Yeah, I think the PIs.
Okay, oh, we can do that.
Which is going to be like after break, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think let's.
I did have something else to say about that for that level, which is, somebody mentioned, all of you on different programs get together and you make your own little network, and there's that peer mentoring going on. What you learn from one program, you can take to your colleagues who are being supported by other programs, and through you that cross-fertilization occurs, and I think that's a good way. And I remember in one of the network meetings we talked about Uganda Makariri. That's the right way to pronounce it, right? Because another student taught me to say Macari, and I don't know what's good. Anyway, in your institute, you have 17 of these D43s from various different PIs, and so that always starts an alarm back when the scientific advisory board is meeting, and when we go through the funding plans with Roger. Why are we doing this again? Why do we have 5 K43s from South Africa? Should we be funding them all? No, we need to go to some other ones, and so they try to change that. But for us, it's, you go through the study section, and I can't help it. If 5 from South Africa out of 10 are scored well, are you going to say nothing doing? We're not going to give these ones. We're going to go down to a, less well-scored one, because that's morally not correct, at least in my mind. So we always go through this. Well, isn't that what the D43 is supposed to do? You guys are doing so well in terms of how the students are getting trained and so on. We can't punish you, right? Because that's what this whole program was meant for, how to train. But at the level of the higher-ups and at the level of NIH and the advisory board, they say, well, they've done well, why do you have to fund so many? You should now start training other people. So that's a conundrum that is facing us, and we don't know how to do it. The whole thing is, you write a good grant, you get well scored, you should be funded just like anybody else. So that's something that we are going to, but I think at that level of you all, not at the PI level, if you are able to coach each other, learn from your mentors, and then share it with your other students who are learning from other mentors, build your own peer group, then maybe at some stage you can all get together and write your own grants. And you can always do it, credit is an issue, right? Everybody wants to get credit for that. Do multiple PI. But of course, you always have to work with your seniors. One thing I always say with the mentorship lectures that I do is, do not topple, who you learn from. Do not kick them and think you can be independent, because that just does not work, right? You have to keep them. Those are the people you learn from. They have an interest in making sure that they can pass on, science. That's how science training is done. So you will work with them. I mean, I'm pretty sure that they'll all want you to be independent and help you learn, but it's at your level you can try to get this thing working. So R21 programs, K43s are individual, but any of the other R programs, that's how you do it. You can start with RO3 programs. Those are small grants, and that's enough to do secondary data analysis and so on. So one reason why I don't have, and this answers somebody else's question about seed grants and things from our program, it's up to the PI. We don't want to tell the PI what to do, because each situation is different and they can do however way they want to do it. I think that every D43 has some kind of an evaluation process built into the grant, so I'm pretty sure that, different people do it differently. You can give your feedback to your PIs to say what you want, and maybe they can take that into consideration. So it's a dialogue. It's always that talking that needs to get done. The PIs don't tell you what to do. In fact, I've seen that some of you develop your own programs, and then it's coming through. You put out announcements, right? And ask for projects, and then you select. Your selection is based on what they bring up. So at that time, you can always have that dialogue with them to see what you want. But that seed grant money can come from the PRs if you go right up and then talk to them and ask for it. I'm pretty sure that it will happen. We do not want to. I could make the D43 announcement so rigid to say, you have to give this much money to your postdocs or your fellows. Otherwise, we are not going to let you spend it. We don't want to do that. We want that creativity to come from the individual, the PIs who are applying for that. But it's really up to the fellows. You're all mature enough to be able to sit and have that chat, and I think that's what you should do. The reason that one of the programs has it, the Global Infectious Diseases D43 program insists that the PIs have to have their own research grants so that they can support the research of the fellows they are training. The HIV program has never had it apparently, and there's a reason for it. A long time ago when it started, there was just an obscene amount of money in HIV that they were just giving away, and so the HIV program never needed to worry about money. Anytime anybody asked for money, Ken would just apparently give it. We are not in that situation anymore. Even OAR is struggling for money. So we don't have that, but what I tried to do this time, I'm coming to the next thing that you all can try to do, is I try to bridge gaps between, not gaps, I build bridges between different programs. So one of the things that I just recently did was, somebody here is working with IDEA, right? Somebody said that they were working with IDEA. So we bridged with the IDEA program, the HIV D43 training programs, and IDEA have now come up with a partnership for an 18-month fellowship at the IDEA training site. So if any of you has that, wanting to learn, and so they also have a supplement now currently, along with the time when we got the supplement to do this program, 5 other institutes wrote for supplements, and one of the supplements was to start NCD databases in there. So they're going to be building a clinical database for HIV-associated NCDs, which is a good way to learn. So you learn databases, how to build databases, how do you cull data from databases, how do you analyze databases, you can do all that. And I sent that out to all the PIs. I don't know if I missed anybody, but at least the HIV PIs and the other D43 programs within NIH, within Fogarty. I sent it out to all of them. So anybody wants to have any kind of HIV training, talk to your PIs. All of you that said you have PIs that enrolled you. And even, this isn't just for the current D43 trainees, it's also for past D43 trainees. So if you finished a Fogarty program and now you're in a job somewhere, you can also apply to that. So you can take this out to other people. They all become Fogarty trainees. So this is called a Fogarty trainee, either through the D43 or past Fogarty trainees, but now they're learning a new skill. So IDEA was looking for training, but they didn't have the money. I was looking for another site where I could send the D43 fellows, because we don't have the seed money and things like that. So I thought, well, they could go there to yet another site and learn some new skill that they can bring back to their PIs, and then you can develop, maybe the IDEA PIs and the D43 PIs, mentors, can collaborate to have a student train in the areas that both are mutually interested in through the IDEA databases. But now we got money to do that. So hopefully you can publicize that too. It's on the IDEA website, and some of you can apply. Of course, you have to apply with your mentor's permission and agreement on the type of work you will do, because you have to write a small idea to the IDEA group. And we'll review that I guess in December sometime, and then there are a total of 12 such fellowships, 2 per site. So there will be 2 in Uganda has a site too, right? Here somewhere. So 2 here, 2 wherever else they have, I think South Africa maybe. So that 12 is a good number to go and get an 18-month training on how to do some methods, and then come back, and maybe out of that will come a PhD thesis or a postdoc's thesis and so on. So that's something, that's one way of getting that little seed money to try to do something new. So they will pay for, we've transferred the funds over to them, so all of the research money will come from them. So it won't be in your pockets to do what you want to do, but it's still research money for you, because whoever else asked for that kind of seed money. I don't.
It has been publicized here already.
Yes.
Yeah. It was set up.
Yeah. There is going to be a webinar on the 26th and 27th of September, this week, right? Yeah. I won't be able to, but I have to, once I go back to my room, I think I'll get network and I'll send that link out to you. It'll be on the IDEA website, which is, on the 26th it's at 9 o'clock, and on the 27th it's at 10 o'clock Eastern time. So, yeah. Get on that and you will learn about what the program is and ask questions. I mean, it doesn't, even if the students can't, at least the PIs can try to attend that. And also they'll take you through the submission process. The online submission thing is on the IDEA website. So you should go on there and learn how to get in and apply. So that would be another good way of linking up. And the other thing that I'm trying to do, I haven't gotten there yet, but I'm trying to link up with the CFARs. So the Center for AIDS Research that NIAID funds, they do have international sites, some of them. It's not their, CFARs are usually meant to work in the US, but a lot of them have sites internationally. And that's another place where you can, so CFARs also have, I don't know again if it applies to the international settings, but they do have funds that, I don't want to say fund, but they have calls out every once in a while for money that they will give to potential fellows to start some new area. And I know a couple of the UCLA D43s have taken advantage of the UCLA announcements, gotten research money through the CFARs, but then the D43 trainees have benefited from that to work. And I think that two of them have been in Indonesia maybe. They get the money and then they go work in their sites in Indonesia or Cambodia somewhere. Kamina Gorbach has done that. So that's another way you can get a little bit more money and not steer away from what you're actually doing if you can set up that collaboration. So I haven't set up any formal process, but that does exist. So maybe you should be looking at, as senior PIs, you can guide the juniors to link up with D43 sites and conduct some of the research. So many of them have that. And hopefully maybe in the next year, and I haven't figured out how to do it, but now that I've taken care of IDEA, I think I'll have time to focus on how to bridge this CFAR partnership. What we are planning also on IDEA is to be so we will get the money from OAR. IDEA is going to be recompeted, or it will be a new grant, and then we become, Fogarty now becomes part of the IDEA network, but just for the training. Just like in the U54, we are part of the training team, we're trying to do it that way. So I'm open to any kind of ideas. I do appreciate this question, this thing that was raised about having some money to bridge you after you do your PhD and before you become independent. I've already raised that, and maybe I can continue to work on something like that. Get some supplement funding. We used to have a program like that for them, right? Something called it's just not
The entry grant.
not A-trip, another one.
The entry
grant. It was called
like
something.
you train, because most people used to train outside.
Yeah.
And then there was some, remember Moses? Do you remember?
The GRIP program.
GRIP.
And that was not achieving what they wanted to do. People were staying back and they're not coming back, so they stopped it. So when I brought this up, they said we already did that and this was the problem. So now to think of a different way of providing that money. Maybe to work in their own institutes, The other problem is, this is again not for you all, but maybe it is for you all to have a dialogue with the administration. Here's your dean sitting right here, is getting the job here in where they are. What is their future in terms of being absorbed either in their institutes or getting a job in their own countries, that is another question that keeps coming up, both at our advisory group meeting and in our department, our own division meetings. What can we do? There's just so much Fogarty can do. We can't do all of it. So something that after we provided you this, I know so many of you have become trained through your ATRIP and ICOTA and HIVRT, and you've all got jobs. And what can be done for the younger ones and how you do it? That's something that Fogarty cannot do, but at this level, we can provide all the money. So I think the K-43 program is a great way of training and making these people independent. So we've done that. Anything else that I can answer?
Other questions? Any more questions? And as you can see, we are trying to bring the session which is really finding opportunities through FIC so that Getha can answer any of those issues related to K-43, those other opportunities.
Maybe at the PhD level it's a little too far away, but for the ones that are graduating out and have jobs, it may be. And it works for a lot of people because many of them are in jobs already and they're doing their PhD, so it's the next step for them. So.
Okay, maybe if the question can we have some coffee and maybe
She's saying they will ask individually.
they will ask individually.
Don't be shy, you can help other people.
This is one of the K-43.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so CPA, so she's the one who's holding one of the K-43. So.
She can tell you a lot about people. Right?
Yeah, so there is someone you can go to as you try to put in one to tell you the process and how she works it. Yeah, for now maybe I'm going to invite you for a cup of coffee, and after that then we shall come back here, especially investigators, and then we shall have a small meeting with